Welcome to Movie of the Year, the only podcast that has the science and the screaming to unequivocally figure out what the best movie of each year is. This season we'll focus on 2001. Tonight we will be going through the entire first round. 16 movies enter, but only an elite 8 will go on and compete for the rest of the season. I am your host. You've heard my voice before if you've listened to the show, but now Daddy's home and controlling the airplane. I'm Mike, and with me, I cannot do it alone. I need the two luminaries of movie podcasting. You know him. You love him. He's a little sweetie pie of movies. He's Greg.
You got a real Karen Guilfoyle energy going on. The best is yet to come.
Just throwing my hands up.
But no, I'm excited. This is gonna be good. It's gonna change everything.
I'm gonna keep screaming how I'm optimistic while talking about the rivers will run blood with the blood of children.
The rivers will run blood with the blood of rivers.
And the mean kid from around the block. You love to hate him and hate to love him. Ryan.
Thank you so much for that, Mike. I can't argue with anything that you said. I am mean. I'm very mean, and I do live around the block from you. So
yeah. I'm just a very literal person.
Uh-huh.
So I just say what I mean and mean what I say.
I like to live my life in such a way where people don't have to think about what they will say about you when you come into the WWE ring. They just describe you at your most basic self, and you sound so fucking badass.
Your eyes go white, and they just say it. I like to live my life like a quarter mile at a time.
If you guys can make your eyes go white, how often would you use that? Just like
every day.
You know what one I wish I had? I wish I could put my arms out like to my sides, palms up, and then my feet together and just raise up off the ground just a little bit, even if that was all the power was. So I couldn't do anything like to back that up. Wouldn't that be so dope?
That'd be enough. Yeah, most people will run.
Punctuate a point. I hope he's hovering again.
Greg, you do have $2 in late fees here at the library. You know what, sir? Never mind. You just go on home.
We'll give you $2. Please don't hurt us.
That's right. Everybody in here, give me $2.
That's petty crime, right? Like that. It's so small that can they even be mad at you?
I just made $18.
So we're kicking off another season. It's another journey. 2001 is an interesting year. If you, the listeners, want to hear how we got to these 16 movies we'll be talking about, you can go over to patreon.com/earpopfilter and hear the original 32 and the trial and tribulations, the blood, sweat, and tears.
A lot of times it goes like a lot cleaner than it went this time. There were some really tough choices.
And I think there's only tough choices ahead.
That's it. Like the amount of tough choices in the first show, the Patreon show, makes me scared to fucking death about what we're about to do. Like this is an incredible year. Like 5 or 6 of my favorite movies, at least of my lifetime, came out in 2001.
And that's a great entry point, Ryan. Were they those in 2001, or did it take years for them to realize? What was 01 like for Ryan?
Yeah, I think mostly then. It was a learning year. I was learning what a good movie was, and I think it was a big year where the Oscars maybe not me realizing that the Oscars are not like the indicator of what is good. This is the year that and Beautiful Mind got cut. Yes, it's already out.
Beautiful Mind is out.
Yeah, and then it was more foreign movies for me. It was more like less mainstream movies, but it's a hell of a year for mainstream movies this year.
Yeah, mainstream doesn't mean bad right now, necessarily.
Necessarily, yeah.
2001 is the year I actually took Film 100. So that's when I began to, I would talk about movies and I'd be like, the mise-en scene in this scene it's not mise-en, that's for sure. It's there.
Scene as fuck.
It's present, man.
2001 was actually the year where I taught Film 100 for the first time, and there's some fucking douchebag in the front row just always saying Meeson nonstop.
That was his name. His name was Meeson.
Meeson loved movies.
He said he loves Meeson to Peason.
And so, Greg, does that mean you only watched Casablanca and Citizen Kane 1,000 times, and you have not seen any of these 01 movies?
No, this was definitely a time when I watched a lot of movies, but I was still such a movie dum-dum. I didn't really have much taste. And so honestly, I'm more interested in the movies I didn't like from 2001 than I am in the movies that I did like from 2001, because I think the things that might have like troubled me or been too challenging as we go back and do this show. I mean, typically, like, I didn't like Eyes Wide Shut the first time I saw it. Well, that's 99's movie of the year, you know? So, like, sometimes you go back and you've got the advanced tastes of a deep-voiced man, and things just look a little bit different, and you just have a new understanding, a calmness that has entered into your soul.
Yeah, I was finishing up my 8th grade year and then starting high school in '01, so I think I was a dummy. I was at the theaters all the time, but I had no taste. I had no discernible intelligence.
You were
and, nothing's changed.
You were at the theaters watching Jeepers Creepers, but only because of what you thought might happen with that movie later on.
Yeah, I was watching and be like, you guys, this guy's going down for kiddie porn. I'm calling it now in the theater.
Where'd he get those peepers?
It turns out in a very gross way. So that is what '01 means to us. We're going to take a quick break, and when we come back, not dive right in the bracket, but have a little conversation corner.
Hey guys, thank you so much for listening so far. And let me just tell you that everything ahead of this commercial is much better than what came before it. That's my guarantee. While I have you here, let me tell you about a website. It's called yourpopfilter.com. And it's everything you need that's related to Pop Filter. Everything Mike, everything Ryan, everything Greg, everything Cassie, everything is there at yourpopfilter.com. While you're there, go to yourpopfilter.com/Amazon. Make that your new Amazon bookmark and do your shopping from there. That way, we get a little piece of the action and Amazon doesn't. Make sure you're also listening to everything that Pop Filter has to offer, which includes the Superhero Show, a podcast that covers every single TV show that's based on a comic book or comic book property, and Movie of the Year, where we sit down and try and figure out what is the single greatest movie of any given year. That's Superhero Show, that's Movie of the Year, and that's yourpopfilter.com. Rate, subscribe, review, bye!
As is tradition here at Movie of the Year, out of the top 16 seeds, each of the panelists gets to pick a movie. So we're going to talk about those because not all of them did make it. Ryan, what was your submission this year?
I was actually a little bit surprised to find out that Robert Altman's Gosford Park was not going to make the bracket without a little bit of help. I thought that it was beloved enough and famous enough to easily get into the top 32 of 2001. That was not the case. So I boosted it all the way up to like the 16th seed.
Mm-hmm. But unfortunately, it went up against an '01 behemoth. I fucking loved this movie. It was the chattery. I think this was probably my first Altman film, somebody who I've come to love and respect a lot, and have not seen this movie since, but it blew my small, young teen mind.
So much so that you got spin on, apparently. Patreon listeners know what we're talking about. But yeah, it's a really good starter for Altman because it's, I think, a little more, it's a little easier to digest than a lot of his movies, but it has all of those, like, what he's known for, the big cast, the talking over each other, that's all there. And
also, am I wrong in remembering that there's a little bit more joy in this than there had been in, like, do you remember Shortcuts?
Yes.
Wasn't that him? That movie is so dire and so awful, and it feels like there's like no light in the world. And I feel like Gosford Park, just by being a little more effervescent, was like more uplifting as well.
I think too that like the fact that it was in one house helped a lot because he is not concerned with like plot or story or how the things that people like from movies. And this, it didn't have like the most, it wasn't the plottiest plot, but it was still like, at least if it's all in one place and we know that these are the upstairs people and these are the downstairs people, there's more to like grasp onto than your typical Altman, I think.
Right. I mean, and he's playing with things everybody is sort of familiar with. It was years before Downton Abbey, but everybody has those upstairs, downstairs kind of woven into us. And there's a little bit of screwball vibe to it.
And when people talk about his comedies, you know, like I would say that he's mostly known for comedies, but it's like MASH or Nashville or Mashville or like McCabe and Miss Miller they're comedies for people who are like, they get out of the theater and they're like, I'm smart enough to know that I found that funny occasionally.
David
it's never
Hyde
like
Pierce
laugh and
loves
laugh.
his comedies.
Yeah. kind of thing where after every really funny line, someone just goes, yeah, good.
Or you can hear another pipe being lit. You know, like somebody's smoking their pipe. But this, I would say,
someone just like makes a little plosive sound, and then dust just comes out of their mouth.
This is his most like legit, like what we think of comedy, and like this gave birth to. It was a little bit of a comeback for him, and then this gave birth to like probably his most broad, crazy comedy. It's weird that he made this. The Prairie Home Companion. He took over making a movie about that radio show, and
Really?
that's like a big cast, which is obvious, but also like this loud farce, you know. And it's not my favorite Altman, but we wouldn't have that without Gosford Park. Guys, get down on one knee and thank Gosford Park for giving us Altman's The Prairie Home Companion. That's what I'm saying.
Is it like scripted,
hell
or is
I
it
will.
like just them on a stage in front of mics?
Yeah, they replaced all of the normal people, and they brought in like Meryl Streep, and it's just like the backstage of like how crazy it is there. But
About
they did
Lake Wobegon.
about Lake Wobegon. They did leave the main guy who
Garrison Keillor. They didn't know
Garrison
yet.
Keillor, who at some point got busted for kiddie porn, I believe.
Well, he's a man in power, even if it's a small pond. So eventually he's going to do something awful. Greg, what was your submission?
My submission, I was surprised it was like available, that I could pick it up, and it was Wet Hot American Summer. And I remember the first time I saw this movie in 2001, not being able to like wrap my mind around it until like halfway through it. What is the tone of this movie? Does it just keep shifting? Is it just like a big long sketch comedy show? And it, like, honestly, at least among this group of friends, it kind of became like a touchstone, a reference for each of us. And so, and it's just so, it was like so progressive in terms of it's forward looking in comedy. And all the people who were in it became parts of the things that we really cared about later, or had come from things that we cared about.
But then also at the same time being
And-
very like Mel Brooks, Zucker Brothers, you know, like it was forward and backwards all at the same
Right.
time.
Yeah, and it seemed to really celebrate comedy, and seemed to be comedy for people who have spent so much time digesting comedy in their lives that they like an extra gear in their jokes. So that the joke has to be not the joke, not the first joke, and not even the second joke, but a lot of times the third joke. And it's if you have spent your entire life absorbing as much comedy as you can, when comedies are made like that and they really speak to people with senses of humor, informed by stuff like that, it's just very pleasing. You know, it's jokes for people who really love comedy and love to create comedy.
Blow your comedy back out.
It
For
definitely
sure.
changed our lives because like the amount of effort and money I have to put into the fact that anytime Mike tosses something off screen, I have to have a panel of glass that it will fly through and then make a glass breaking sound just so he feels okay. I'm sure I've told this story on Movie of the Year before, but I'm going to tell it again. It's a very special movie to me because in 2001, I got a DVD in the mail from something called Netflix, right? And I watched this movie by myself, and it blew my mind. And then for like, I kept the DVD from Netflix for like 3 weeks, and I would travel around from house to house, party to party with the DVD. I watched it probably 20 times in a month, and I felt like I was sort of part of the movie making experience. Like I had brought,
Yeah, because you brought it
You
to
were
the
the
people.
music man of the town. Just
yeah. I was like the preacher bringing the Bible. Sure, God wrote the Bible with his own hands, but I gave you the Bible, right? It's such a cool feeling to watch these people who were used to a bunch of comedies that were different than this, right? Like a little more like rom-com or whatever, and then have this very stupid, like very, very stupid, but very smart thing. And now they're like crying at this.
Yeah.
It was a cool feeling.
I didn't see it in '01, and I saw it a few years later at an art house theater in San Francisco. My sister was up there for college. I went to visit her for a weekend, which feels like if you're not going to have some sort of magician bring this DVD to a party you're at, I do think an art house theater visiting an older sibling at college who takes you to see this thing she's heard
Yeah.
about.
This is the reason for having older siblings.
Yeah.
This story right here.
And having it just like cry laughing the whole time and be like, not just cry laughing because it's the funniest thing you'd ever seen, but because you're like, oh, there's other weirdos out there who make stuff. It's not just friends who will spit on you for the things you do and like.
If it makes it to the Elite Eight, like, you know, I am worried about like what exactly we're going to talk about as far as dissecting the Kubrickianness of it, but I'm actually not. Like it's stamp on time. It's how it, like Greg was saying, like shine the light for comedy forward, but also backward. Like I would be stoked to do a show about this.
There's things in that movie that this is going to sound so lame, but remember when in The Devil Wears Prada, she's like, you have disdain for these clothes, but the reason you're wearing that blue sweater is because like there was a blue jacket 5 seasons ago, and so you like inherit all the cutting edge stuff that we're doing down the line. And this movie, like this is where the cutting edge comedy was. And when you watch like Parks and Rec and when you watch like The Good Place, you're seeing like the downstream effect of those comedies, because it was like a comedy finishing school. And so then when the comedy is brought to the people to be actually like on television, this is where a lot of that was born years ahead of
Honestly,
time.
I would like, that's an excellent point. I would say that like number 1 is like Simpsons season 4 through 8, and then Wet Hot, and then the podcast movie of the year, but only the seasons that were hosted by Greg and Ryan. That's
well, we're
ranking I
too
would
early
do.
to know. You don't even know what this one's gonna. This
I
could change
already
everything.
know. I already know. This feels like season 29 of The Simpsons right now.
So just somebody who grew up listening to Movie of the Year is trying to host it now. Fuck you so hard. My movie I brought was Hedwig and the Angry Inch, the trans rock musical cult classic that one person seemed pretty interested in it, and one panelist was like weirdly bigoted. And Greg, thank you for your open-mindedness.
What the fuck?
I guess we could all just say
no
things.
problem, Mike.
Now I'm becoming an angry inch. I do not have a lot of. Oh, sorry. I guess Mike.
Yeah, I was just like this glam rock of a German expatriate into American Midwest, and her changing like a small Midwest boy, and then watching him become the giant rock star she always wanted to be. It is weird and culty, but it's also like Salieri. Like there's an angle of that which makes it, I think it's not an angle people talk about a lot, but I think it's really cool. And the TV or the movie mixes cartoons and trippy shit. It's a fun time in the movies.
It sounds like it might be potentially the Patreon selected.
I've heard that through the hallways
special movie,
around the
right?
studios, that it might be the Patreon selected.
All right. So,
you should have said the thing about the animated parts when we were voting. Because honestly, I was heavily swayed by it when you just mentioned.
Oh shit! There's sometimes it's cartoons. I'm in.
If you put drawings in your movie, I'm like, well, that's pretty cool.
just so the non-Patreon people, you understand. And typically, we would usually say no, go subscribe to Patreon. But basically, Mike and Greg whispered to each other that we should do Hedwig, and then they think that started some sort of like cult like following about doing it.
We're
for the
hearing
Patreon
it from everywhere. People are talking about it.
And then
there's a lot of chatter.
Also, what you missed is me just sitting here silently while the two of them whispered to each other how handsome they were, and now they both think they're fucking handsome. And it's a lot to deal with right
Greg
now.
is very handsome. His beard is very full today.
Oh, also, they've stopped whispering. Now they're just saying it out loud.
We only whisper off air. On air, it's full-throated voices, Ryan.
I'm going to learn how to throat sing and do all of that way.
Dude, throat singing's really cool, right? Like, you wouldn't want to sit down and listen to a whole album of it, but every time it's like in a movie or something.
Something's going to go down.
Yeah, dude, that's very atmospheric and cool.
So those are our submissions. Only Greg's has made it on to these 16.
I got beat by Legally Blonde. Mike,
Yep.
do you feel good about your beating?
Who beat me? I don't know. I got beat by AI.
Your friends.
I don't know how I feel about it yet, but it makes sense to me why I got beat, because it's Kubrick and Spielberg holding hands doing the Care Bear stare. So
it got beat by the biopic of Allen Iverson. And you're okay with that?
AI is one of these sneaky ones, though, that we could watch and then suddenly be like, this changed my life. I view this in a completely different way.
I'm very excited to hear what 2001 movies changed Greg's life this season. So let's get it started. We're going to take a break and then dive right into those battles. Hola, Filterinos. I just wanted to interrupt real briefly and say thank you for listening. Thank you for your support. If you want to support us a little more directly, you can go to patreon.com/yourpopfilter. There, depending on what tier you pick, $1 a month, $5 a month. If you're crazy, anything more than $5 a month, don't do that. You can get extra content. There's extra shows, extra series, behind-the-scenes stuff. You could pay for Ryan to draw you a picture. I can write you a poem. You can get the shirts off our very own backs. All of that and so much more over at Patreon. patreon.com/yourpopfilter. While you're on the internet, you should check out Shady Monk. He does all the tunes you've been listening to. He's on Bandcamp, he's on Spotify, SoundCloud, wherever kids get their music these days that I'm too old to know. Shady Monk lives there. You can probably follow him on Twitter and Instagram as well. That's Shady Monk. Wherever you get music, check him out. Round 1, Battle 1.
Fuck. God
Your
damn it.
first seed is Spirited Away versus your 17th seed, Legally Blonde.
All right, cool. All right. Legally Blonde, right? It gave us Reese Witherspoon. She is a star. She can do anything. Like, this is basically, like, at this point, she was the franchise, right? Like, remember back in the day where stars could be in movies and everybody was like, oh, Reese Witherspoon's in this. That was this. This might have created the Reese Witherspoon. It's fine. It's good.
It might go down as a good moment in feminist cinema. It linked feminism and girly aesthetics, I think, in a way that is ultimately a good thing.
And in a way that, only in hindsight, maybe people were saying it back then, but I definitely think my age group, again, high school, were too stupid and they just saw a girl movie and did not get any of the messages that were going on. Because kids are dumb. But I think history has been kind and intelligent in reviewing what this movie was doing.
Because it made the hero, instead of the joke, the hero, the person who's like oh my god, like that. Yeah, that's the hero. And then also gives us the moments that we crave, which is that boyfriend gets beat, right? Like that guy gets fucking punished for being a douchebag.
Beat his little butt.
But as someone like from Southern California and who like knows people who speak in the way that she speaks and strive to appear that the way she appears, you know, not that there's a ton of sympathy for it like across the country or whatever, but those people are genuine people in their own way as well. And so that's sort of like, you know, you'll meet a lot of people in California who seem like stereotypes, but that doesn't mean that they're simple people. You know, they can still be very complicated.
Just because we always are telling you what freeways we took to where we're going, it doesn't mean that we're stupid.
Just because we're always saying that things are totally gnarly, bro, doesn't mean that I don't have
If you
masters.
listened, things were totally gnarly, bro.
That's true. I gotta say that I ate so many avocados that it was totally gnarly.
So Spirited Away moves on, gentlemen?
Yeah.
Yeah, right. I mean, I thought, like, you know, good for Legally Blonde, but this was basically a dunk, right?
It's an all-timer.
I'm very excited. I've not seen this Miyazaki, and I'm pumped.
Also, we got to go with tradition. Every single season of Movie of the Year brings us another Miyazaki we have to watch.
I didn't know he had 50 movies, but apparently he does.
Yeah, he's been busy.
Your second battle of this round is your 8th seed, DreamWorks' Shrek, versus your 9th seed, the Royal Tenenbaums.
So good job, Shrek, right? As far as I'm concerned, Shrek is an all-star, okay? He can get his game on, and he can go play.
Guys,
all right?
I have to hit the button. I got to hit the button. Shrek is the Patreon show.
Oh, you're hitting that button.
I'm hitting that button. There's no way that the three of us, the way that we look and how we are, is going to let Royal Tenenbaums not go into the final 8, right? But I think Shrek is, for some weird reason, this cultural milestone, and I would like to dig into it.
Yeah.
Get on there.
Somebody decided everybody had to love Shrek. And
Wait,
we do.
Mike, what do we have right now is like the Patreon options?
Your Patreon options are Hedwig and the Angry Inch, Josie and the Pussycats, and now Shrek.
Let's not watch.
And Amelie.
Let's watch a good movie. Like, we have some good movies in there. Let's watch good movies. I think that includes Shrek. I think Shrek's okay to watch. Let's not intentionally watch a bad movie.
Wait, which one of those is bad?
Movies.
Josie?
No, dude, no. You should watch your stock. The stock of that movie has risen more than any other movie over the last 20 years.
That movie was too smart for its
pants. Dang. Well, I love being wrong, so maybe we should watch that movie.
And has great music.
But yeah, is Shrek beloved because of the TNT thing, or is there something more going on there?
Mike Myers delivers the exact comedy that the masses want, I think.
Yeah. It's a character he perfected in So I Married an Axe Murderer. He was just like, people want more of this angry dad.
The problem with the Love Guru is that he never said,
Donkey.
Yeah, dude.
Get your melon out of the TV.
Get your melon out of the TV.
That's from So I Married an Axe Murderer.
Sort of it is, yeah.
You know what I'm trying to say.
But yeah, I would like to do Shrek, and I would like to feel better about 3 white dudes of our age moving Royal Tenenbaums definitely along. Absolutely. One of my favorite
how many
movies of
listeners
all
are like,
time.
oh, so they picked their winner already?
Now, I'm just gonna ask. This is a crazy. This isn't because I look like Shrek that we're doing this, right? That's not.
It's so rare that you're represented on screen, Greg, and we want to give that moment to you.
Do you know what's weird is that your face and body type are nothing like Shrek, but the fact that you have 2 little ding-dongs coming out of the side of your head.
Yeah.
Like what?
those are my
He's got
ding-dongs.
ears and then also the Frankenstein thingies.
And
Yeah, he's got antennae.
for breakfast, we're always trying to eat yogurt, and you're always just chomping down onions.
For for breakfast, I'm trying to eat yogurt and I'm fucking throwing up because of Greg's antennae coming out of the side of his head.
Yeah. Can you put a headband on or something?
And of course, my best friend is a donkey.
Donkey.
Oh, yeah.
All right, Royal Tenenbaums moves straight on. Your next battle is I gotta admit, I thought all of this was gonna be harder than it is, and now that the board is handing me each of these battles, I'm like, oh, cool
It's 'cause of
season.
the tough. There were a lot of tough cuts in the early rounds. A lot of really unfair matchups.
Everybody should go to our Patreon for the actual tension. Yes.
Yes.
Yes, of course, of course. For the price of
What if
just
I said no?
100 cups of coffee,
Man, not worth it.
you could give us $300 for some reason.
Your 29th seed is Black Hawk Down versus your 13th seed E2 Mama Tambien.
Slammy D.
Yeah, this is done.
Slammy D tonight.
It's crazy. Again, it's a movie that I've never seen, and I've heard that it not just throws America under the bus, but like Democrat America under the bus. Like that's weird,
Yeah,
right?
right.
Like that. I've not.
that was under Clinton, so
How many movies have I seen like that? But E2 Mama, E.T. Mama, the extra Tambien.
Is this a prequel?
Yeah. No, that's a movie I've seen 10 times, and I would like to see for an 11th and talk to you two about it. You two, mamas. Tambien.
Tambien.
not just you two, but your
Yeah.
mamas.
This
Tambien.
movie's so goddamn great.
Wait, so has anybody seen Black Hawk Down?
I think I was going to say in the 90s,
In the
which is
90s.
a lie.
1992. I watched the shit out of that movie.
I was stationed in Somalia as a child.
Yeah, I watched it.
I saw the Black Hawk fly. I have not seen it. It's like I feel like I've seen like a couple minutes of it. I feel like though, like I could say a lot about it. I feel like I could guess what it's like.
Wait, is
I
this
don't
Ridley Scott?
Is it?
I think it might be.
I don't
I
like
think it
any
might be,
title
yeah.
that is a spoiler. Like, I don't want to know what's going to happen to the Black Hawk before the movie begins.
Would it help if it were a question mark?
Yeah.
Black Hawk down?
Is this like a super prequel to the Olympus Down? No, that's called Olympus Has Fallen. Totally different verb there.
This is
Well-
it is Ridley Scott, and it's starring Josh Hartnett, who we love, Ewan McGregor, who we love, and Tom
Love.
Sizemore, who we
Who
love.
we're okay with. So, E2 though?
Yeah. I mean, cinema.
This
All right.
I would say this is our first big cut, right? Like that hurts
Yeah.
a little bit, but I bet we're gonna get hurt worse.
You'll always get hurt worse here at Movie of the Year. We got to take
Mishima story in 4 chapters.
we got to take a little break because it's getting to be too much. And when we come back, more battles.
Well, that is very, very funny. Or very sad. And perhaps now you have something to think about. Or very problematic, and perhaps we have something to think about. But in any event, I'm sure you have some reaction to what you're listening to. So why not check us out on the social media? You can go to Instagram or Twitter and find us at YourPopFilter. Email contacts at YourPopFilter. Hey, everybody. Keep watching them movies.
Keeping the pain train going. Your next battle is your 5th seed, Mulholland Drive, and your 21st seed, the others. Greg is happy that only one movie
Oh.
will spook him this season and not 2.
But I'm sad because one of them's definitely going to get through, because when you said Mulholland Drive, I was going to be like, just argue for the other one.
The others? One?
Man, this is a tough one, though, because these movies both scare me a lot, but I think they're both really good.
One is good, and one is like museum level art.
Yeah.
The others can probably go get back in the closet. The others, you're not moving
I thought you were
on.
going to really dig in your heels for the others. One is museum art. The others is not talked about nearly enough.
It's a fun time at the movies. It's scary. It's got a really cool twist. If you haven't seen the others, you definitely should.
Can I ask, because we're not going to talk about the others more in a spoiler alerty type way.
Yeah.
It's crazy to me how often people are like, oh, this horror movie has a twist you'll never see coming. And maybe it's just the age I grew up in. It's like it's always the same twist. And it's because I read R.L. Stein's The Ghost Next Door, and it turns out our protagonist was the ghost the whole time.
yeah.
Just like Bruce Willis, just like Nicole Kidman.
I think the motherfucker is that told you there was a twist. You know, like just saying that
Right.
there is a twist ruins the twist.
Yeah.
Especially in
Then
this
you're
era
like-
of M. Night Shyamalan. No, the whole thing is thinking like, oh, this is like a buttoned down, very proper ghost story.
Mm-hmm.
And then
Which it feels like.
right, and therefore you don't know that there's a twist. So to say
Yeah.
that there is one ruins the movie.
I've always felt that about people who say that there's a twist in a movie. Like, oh, that's like 50% of it right there. You'll never see the end coming. Well, now I kind of will, right? Because I'm going to spend the whole time
Yeah.
being like, what am I not seeing coming?
And now my whole thing is, bet they're dead.
Yeah. All these characters are dead or fictitious. That one's probably
Nailed it.
fictitious. I think that one is a figment of the other one's imagination, but he's dead as well.
It's still like, even though it was in 1999, I'm still watching movies thinking like, oh, that one's Tyler Durden. Tyler
Yeah.
Durden is somewhere. Where is he?
Who's Tyler Durden? I watched The Village with my aunt, and because it's a Shyamalan movie, my brain just started going the minute we sat down. So halfway through, I went, "They're in modern times,"
Yeah.
based on nothing at that point. And she got mad at me for spoiling it. I was like, "I've seen just as much as you have seen. I'm just talking, man."
I'm just perceptive. Because,
Wait,
yeah, what
I've
could
nev-
the twist be?
I've never seen that movie, and I don't think I will because there's a plane that flies, right? And now I've seen it. Like, I'm good now.
Yeah, you
I
said
don't
that-
even remember a plane that flies over.
that's how the
That's
twist
how
is.
they realize.
Oh, that's how they realize. Yes, probably.
And that
And then Jeff Bridges starts doing his monologue.
and that plane was United 93.
Shit.
Not-
Oh, it's the Remember
That-
Me twist. That's
that-
the other kind of twist. Is it was 9/11 the whole time?
yeah, that's the new one. And by the
Fucking
way,
Robert Pattinson.
no one ever.
So Mulholland
expects-
Drive.
Yeah, dude. I mean, this movie like pushes the boundaries of like what a film is, how you can tell a story, how you can create the emotions that you want in your audience, or like emotions that they don't want to experience, but you are going to make them experience.
I'm very excited for movie of the year's first David Lynch.
Yeah,
Wait, hold on. Every winner of these battles goes on to the Elite Eight, right?
yeah.
Yeah.
So you've just been announcing movies we're going to watch this entire
I'm just
time.
not saying anything
Yeah,
about it.
we always forget in the first episode that that this is what this does. Does that change things for you, Ryan? Would have voted differently?
No, absolutely not. I like if I was in Vegas right now, I'm betting Mulholland Drive takes the whole goddamn thing. So
Would they
Oh,
take that
Drive
bet
was
though?
fine.
Do people bet on our show?
I'm going to go to the counter and I'm going to scream
Because you
what I
have
just
such
said.
undue influence on that if you think about it.
And then
Yeah.
I'm also going to say I will not wear a mask.
Oh,
I feel threatened.
your next battle is your number 2 seed, Lord of the Rings, Fellowship of the Rings, versus your 18th seed, AI.
Oh, boo.
Oh, come on. No,
Sci-fi versus fantasy, mofos.
Yeah. The fight
redo the
continues.
bracket.
I want to. I want to every year.
That's the whole thing, though. That tension you feel, that's what makes the show so good. That's why.
It hurts.
I think the AI is actually kind of great. I think it might be really great. And I am not a Lord of the Rings person. But it is so it's inarguably well done, and it has still such like a thumbprint on society. This is done, right? Like this is a fucking done battle.
Yeah, I mean, AI just isn't big enough, or I mean, I think it's a good movie, but I don't think it's great enough to overcome all the different ways. Because this is also perhaps the most 2001 movie. It's also timeless by virtue of the fact that it's not like really in any way locked into 2001.
Honestly, the reason that I'm worried about doing Fellowship is that I'm going to watch it and then get so inspired that I'm going to watch the next two, even though we're not doing podcasts about those two movies.
And that's like
And then you're
over
going to just
6
ride that
hours.
high and watch the 3 Hobbit movies, hating yourself every minute of those.
No, I'll never do that.
Never do that.
Never in a million years.
Legit, never do that.
But it is a bummer because AI is like a really cool movie, and it has like such a bigger scope than you think it's going to. And when
you
that
can
is
hit the button,
you can hit the what button?
the
Patreon.
button.
Oh, the
demand
Patreon button.
It's hard. I understand all the arguments for Fellowship of the Ring, but it's hard to say a Kubrick Spielberg joint is like, nah. I guess that's the year 2001 was. We should have seen it all coming.
Dude, Lord of the Rings was huge, man. Like,
Yeah.
It was such a big deal.
I still remember, Ryan, the first time you told me in like '99 that they were going to make these movies and that they were going to shoot them all at the same time, and we both agreed that that was like a disaster waiting for them. The idea that you were just going to commit to making all three of these right off the bat.
New Line Cinema is done.
Yeah,
they are bankrupt. They are going to go away.
But it turns out like it's braver and smarter to do that versus we'll make one. All right, that didn't work. All right, let's bring in Michael Bay to do the second one. Oh, that didn't work. Okay, let's bring in Cuarón to do the third one.
Also, it fucking put New Zealand on the map. Literally. Nobody had heard of this sleepy
It
little...
was never on the map.
Yeah, and now finally people know where it is. It's just it's shaking nonstop.
We were all mailed New Zealand stickers, so we could put them right there, right on the map. I don't know.
Mine's near Hawaii.
Like this is MCU gets a lot of credit for like bringing mainstream into nerddom or nerddom into mainstream, but actually I think this movie might be the actual thing that should get the credit.
For sure, and I do think fantasy is a harder sell than sci-fi and superheroes.
Yeah.
I mean, this
fantasy
movie has,
is
like,
always
legit elves casting spells.
Yeah,
like
it's fucking elves. It's archery elves, man. This is it. Like
fucking elves.
Before a few years ago, D&D was still the one thing that like people are like, "Oh, I love Marvel. I'm a big nerd." And you're like, "You want to roll some D20?" And they start beating the shit out of you.
Yeah,
You're like, "You're 15. I'm an adult. Please stop."
Because Captain America and Iron Man aren't that far from like John McClane or Arnold Schwarzenegger. You know, like that seems like, but like. Guys, in this movie, there's motherfucking elves.
Yeah,
I cannot believe this movie was as popular as it was.
And little halflings with hairy feet are the stars.
Yeah, dude.
I might say that any movie that came up against this particular one, and I'm not saying it's going to win, but any movie that came up against this one was going to lose.
It's got a wizard
This is the movie that has to go in.
That's so 70s.
Stoner wizard?
God, yeah, Stoner Wizard is so goddamn 1970s.
That's what Fellowship of the Rings is the best, like, of the movies, but it's also the best of the books, and it's because everybody's so chill at this point still. Gandalf isn't Gandalf the White, who's like all business. He's Gandalf the Grey, and he's just like, I want to have like a cool time.
Yeah, he's just like, y'all want to party?
Yeah, dude, I'm just gonna
let's go on a little adventure. His main arc is let's get this sheltered kid out of the Shire.
Yeah, dude. He's always like in this movie, Gandalf is always getting high. He's like, oh, there's a problem. I'm going to go to the library to research it, and like fucks off to go like do a research project. He's like living the dream.
Gandalf is what Greg wants to be
Yeah,
so bad.
Could you
Let me ask you
research
guys
to
this.
save the world?
So it's going to be in the 8, right? Like we're going to do a show about it. But do you guys think that it will hurt its chances in the overall bracket because it's a part 1? Or do you think it does a good job of like telling its own individual story?
It's pretty okay. It's pretty like, I think you can make an argument that if the story just ends with him deciding that he has to not be part of the Fellowship anymore and just go on his own, and then Sam denying that and saying, I'll die if you don't take me with you, I honestly think that wraps up that story. If you don't know what comes next, in a way, it kind of like, that
right.
openness is interesting.
So the answer to that question is why I've now declared bullshit. Mike is hosting this season, which means that it's me versus Greg on the panel. And what the fuck am I going to do with that?
Yeah. I'm actually going to remember that right now. He's going to start with 12 points.
Mike's wailing on that button like it's his clit.
All I have is just to say, like, Mike, you're very handsome tonight.
Thank you, Ryan. You don't get a point for that. Fellowship of the Ring does move on. Your next battle is your 26th seed of Bridget Jones' Diary versus your 10th seed of Ocean's 11.
Oh, Bridget, you did such a great job. You made it so far.
She beat Amelie, which is what I still think should be the Patreon.
What if this were Amelie versus Ocean's 11?
I'm going to still take Ocean's 11 because I'm a fucking dude. I got a fucking swinging penis.
You're a Soderbergher over here.
And I'm a Soderbergher. But Yeah, now she can kick rocks.
It is like a very dude movie that does not care about women or how women are represented versus a movie
Julia
that does
Roberts
care
is
about it.
in the movie.
She is in the movie. That is true.
And there's a lot
I'm
of
telling you
crowd-
right now, we're gonna talk about this.
There's a lot of crowd shots where some of the crowd is women. I heard that one of the
But
two
no-
tigers is a woman.
Ocean's 11, this stupid heist movie about handsome dudes in handsome suits, has the dialogue that rocked my world more than any other movie of this year. Whereas Danny Ocean asked Julia Roberts, "Does he make you laugh?" And then she says, "He doesn't make me cry." And that's
Projecting every relationship you'd ever have after that.
ever had before and ever will have in the future.
Yeah, I rewatched this a couple weeks ago, and I thought of you before anything else when that scene happened.
I'm just a Danny Ocean, George Clooney kind of guy, you know?
That's what everybody says.
But so now Amelie fell off. Bridget Jones is falling off.
We don't know that.
Legally
Is that your
Blonde
vote,
fell off. I feel like dudes are ruling here, guys.
It's 2001. It was a dark time.
But we're the ones making the decisions. We could have had.
Oh, no, we're making this a dark time.
Yeah, I read the bones, man. I don't. Greg, what's your vote?
Yeah, it sounds like. I mean, just Ocean's 11. I don't know. It felt like these were both big movies, obviously, but Ocean's 11 felt like a return to old school Hollywood. It feels like if you have a podcast, then about movies, then you talk about this type of movie.
Mm-hmm. And Ryan?
I mean, I love classic Hollywood movies, and I love Soderbergh. I love the BJD. You know I do. But it's got to be Ocean's 11.
I guess Ocean's 11.
Oh, come on.
Moves
Don't.
on.
That's what you get to do if you're the host. Well,
I know, it's
what
great.
I would have done.
I would have voted for Renee Zellweger.
But I don't hate women, but that's okay. Good for you guys.
We're going to take a quick break. You guys are going to go through sensitivity training. And then when we come back, the final two battles. It all comes down to this. The penultimate battle of this episode. Your number 3 seed is Donnie DeDarko, and your number 14th seed is Wet, Hot, American
come
Summer.
on, man.
What defines the youth of 2001 more?
I'm hitting the button.
Donnie Darko should be the Patreon episode?
No, Wet Hot should, because Donnie Darko has to, right?
It
Like the
owned that
thumbprint
year.
on society.
Yeah.
It's either a movie that we know about and that more people have come around to having heard of, or the movie that everybody thought was the most important. Like the people that we hung out with all thought that Donnie Darko was the most important movie to come out for years.
It was Baby's first mind trip.
Yeah.
It really was. And it was the first movie I had ever seen where Jake Gyllenhaal and Maggie Gyllenhaal played siblings and are siblings.
And don't
and
have
Maggie
a love affair.
Gyllenhaal never got stuck in the washer or the dryer. So I do think it's important for that.
That does make it gave us the line of you don't respect sprinkle magic, sparkle magic.
Sure, yeah, it does have that. But that means that we're doing a show on Donnie Darko.
Mm-hmm.
Another
God damn
spooky
it.
movie. This is a spooky
Is
season,
it
you guys.
spooky?
Oh, Donnie Darko's totally. But when he's in that theater and the fucking
Okay.
weird guy in the rabbit suit comes,
That's-
he says, "Why are you in a rabbit suit?" And he goes, "Why are you in a human suit?"
That did
That's
make me
spooky.
cautious of any dude in a rabbit suit in a movie theater. I'd never let that happen after
Also,
that.
when
Hey, Mike, typically it's you, though.
Well, just because I want to blend in.
this is something that I have found to be true. Look around. If there's no one around you wearing a rabbit suit, you're the guy in the rabbit suit.
Whoa.
If you don't know who the guy in the rabbit suit is, it's you, brother.
Also, smell up, smell down. If you can't figure out what that smell is, it's your rabbit suit. God, why does that stink so
Take
bad?
it to the dry cleaners for once in your fucking life. Donnie Darko moves on. Sorry, Wet Hot, the movie that helped form all of our personalities.
Yeah.
But we still have Royal Tannenbaums.
And your last battle to figure out the final movie of your Elite 8 is your 27th seed, The Piano Teacher, versus your 22nd seed, The Fast and the Furious.
Oh, shit.
Now, what do we do here at Movie of the Year? Do we try to find new vistas that we maybe have not experienced yet and try to give our opinion of them and maybe sort of shine a light on something that people aren't aware of? Or do we talk
watch
about
The Piano Teacher?
Oh, Ryan. Ryan, I think you know not...
That's a classic Ryan joke,
Ryan,
right?
That is classic Ryan.
I should get some points for that.
Yeah, Ryan.
I'll do this horse trade. I once wrote a 15-page paper in graduate school about the Fast and the Furious. I'll just put that up on the Patreon, and we don't have to watch the Fast and the Furious.
Is that a threat?
It's a threat.
I don't know what to do here from a critic standpoint because, like, obviously in the circles that I run in, which is like the top elite critics of New York City, we talk about The Piano Teacher more often. But then you guys like Fast and the Furious, even though it doesn't get good till 5. I don't know what to do here. Also, 85 was such a hit season for us because of all of the piano teachers that were involved.
This is a bad movie, and we know it's a bad movie. And are we going to have that much to say about it?
I don't think it's a bad movie.
I don't think it's a good movie.
But I do think that we need a Ron. We need a Mishima.
We need one, right? 85 had 4.
Yeah.
85 launched 4 into
and I
bracket.
can't go back to a season with none. I will take one, but it's so hard to think of watching 8 movies and none of them are going to be like the experience of a Mishima or a Ron or something.
And Fast and Furious, the original wasn't. It was like a modest hit, right?
Yeah.
Like
and
kids and Dubers loved it, but
it's good. Like the jazz singer is good. Sure, you invented sound in movies, but you're also terribly racist, and nobody likes watching you.
Fast and Furious is not terribly racist. Don't do that.
Well, you wouldn't notice it.
Oh no.
Because of your racism.
Yeah, that's why I said oh no. I was just realizing. I was rethinking all of my life decisions.
And yeah, like it's not kicking out Donnie Darko, it's not kicking out Fellowship. It's not kicking out some 2001 mainstay. It's kicking out something that we like 5 movies later.
I legit do think it's great. I think a lot of this stuff, the big dumb fun of the later Fast and the Furious movies, the heart is planted in the first one, but that's fine. I've said my piece.
If you want to hit the button and add yet a 9th movie to the
hitting
Patreon
the
show.
We're not going to have buttons if we just hit them all the time.
I'm really going to keep clamoring for Josie. This might be put it out to the Twitters to figure out what our Patreon movie should be. There's too many. There's too many out there. Gentlemen?
Yeah.
Do you want
me
to read your Elite 8? The movies that will define your next several months of life?
If you don't mind, I would love that, yeah.
The films in your 2001 Movie of the Year season are Spirited Away, The Royal Tenenbaums.
I'm sorry to interrupt. Spirited Away, we talked about literally not for 1 second.
We didn't say
were so
one
fucking sure that it would make the Elite Eight.
Yeah. I don't know what it is. E2 Mama Tambien, Mulholland Drive, Fellowship of the Ring, Ocean's 11, Donnie Darko, and The Piano Teacher. That is a goddamn season of Movie of the Year, my friends.
I would say 6 of my favorite movies of all time. And then 2 that I have to reckon with. I have not seen The Piano Teacher, and I don't love Donnie Darko.
I think we should add in a Moody. I just came up with it based on this year, which is scariest moment in all of our movies. Because each of these movies has, not each, but a lot of them have different kind of scary moments. Donnie Darko does. Even Lord of the Rings has a moment that is really weirdly scary where Bilbo suddenly turns into evil Bilbo when he wants the ring and can't get it. So
that made me scared to be alone in the room with my grandpa.
So honestly, dude, there's probably 7 very scary moments from this season, at least, to choose from.
I think that's a great Moody. Greg.
Yay!
Suggestion. Is there anything else? Are you guys pumped about the year?
I'm excited. I'm honestly having the last thing that happened set aside Fast and the Furious and instead embrace honestly, that got me really jazzed. I'm very excited now.
Because that's nerve-wracking, Greg. You're on a podcast with 2 fucking morons. That could have gone the other way.
Dominic Toretto is on my body right now.
Dominic Toretto is in the Pop Filter Hall of Fame. I'm looking at his bust right now. No one from The Piano Teacher's in the Hall of Fame.
His eyes are up there, Ryan.
But no, I know that 85 ruled because we got all of these new movies, and it was a mix of Goonies and Mishima. It was a mishmash of Goonies, but in 2001, the mainstream movies were so good that we don't have space for them. These are great movies.
This is gonna be a fun season. I can't believe we get to do Lord of the Rings.
Mm-hmm.
And Mulholland Drive scares me, but it's also lived with me for a long time, and so I'm interested to see it again and get those feelings again.
I feel like it scares you in a different way than it scares Mike. Like, you're scared about what's on the screen, and Mike has to host a podcast about Mulholland Drive.
Yeah.
That's insane.
Oh, I didn't think about that at all. I quit.
Yeah.
I'm not going to do it.
Anyway, keep watching the movies.
Yeah, we're just not going to do that at all. So, yes, thank you both for joining me here today.
Oh, no
You know
problem.
what you do, Mike? Do Mulholland Falls. Like that Nick Nolte 1940s gangster movie.
That's what
we'll
I'll
just watch that instead. Yeah.
You guys watch Drive, I'll watch Falls, and we'll try to bring it in the middle. We will see you next week with an actual movie we'll be reviewing. Until then, keep watching.